You already know the story. Tom Brady won his record 7th Super Bowl ring, this time on a new team, in his first year with that team, without Bill Belichick. I could make a whole video on that. Wait, never mind. I already did that. What we didn't know though until now is the epilogue of that story. The moment after the final seconds had ticked off to end the season, that moment where the Super Bowl MVP was reunited with his family after not seeing them for almost 2 weeks because Daddy had to go into a full-on hibernation film study in an empty house. He hugs his kids and then his wife, and she asks, "What more do you have to prove?" Brady quickly changed the subject, knowing what was coming even at a time like this. If you're wondering why I'm deep diving into this quote, it's because Gisele has tried time and time again to get her husband to retire from the NFL. In 2017, after Brady had won his 5th ring, well, Gisele was feeling the same thing. After coming back down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, what more did he have to prove? That ring would break a tie with Joe Montana, his childhood idol, who many considered the greatest quarterback before him, and at that time both his teammates and rivals were in agreement that he was the greatest to ever play the game. Brady had reached the top of his industry, something Gisele did herself, and when she was still at the top of her game, she decided to retire from the runway. Her reasoning was simple. She wanted to spend more time with her family and work on other projects. So I suppose it makes sense that in 2017, she was gonna try and convince him to retire. Brady said that if it was up to her, she would have had him retire that year. In fact, on one night shortly after Super Bowl 51, she kept repeating that to him. His response was, "I'm having too much fun right now." So he planned on playing for an even longer time than even he would have predicted when he was younger. But Gisele did take it one step further. On a spring vacation that year, she tried to get Brady's old Michigan buddy and retired kicker Jay Feely to convince him to retire. According to Feely, she was dead serious. Luckily for Patriots and Bucs fans, Feely told Brady, "Play as long as you can." And in return, Brady smiled and winked. Feely added, for years he wanted to prove he belonged in this league. He won 3 Super Bowls and still used perceived slights to motivate himself. Way back in 2006, Brady told Gisele he would be happy to play 10 more years and win 1 more Super Bowl. Well, that most certainly happened. Then in 2018, this time having already tallied up 5 rings, he told her he wanted to win 2 more. And now that too has somehow happened. So man, we gotta get another film crew in there this year for what his next prediction will be, because right now, this guy is kind of a fortune teller. And how about the age-old question, when will Tom Brady retire? Eventually, he's finally gotta give in and go watch his kids' Little League games. I mean, he might break open the Microsoft Surface in the middle of the game and go over little Benny's launch angles, but hey, this is what Gisele asked for, right? Then again, I could also see him playing past 45 with all that pliability. What's his famous quote from Tom vs. Time? "If you're going to compete against me, you better be willing to give up your life, because I'm giving up mine." I'm sure his kids would take another Super Bowl parade over Little League film session any day of the week. Now, I could continue milking this topic, but I feel like that's enough on that. So for the rest of this video, I want to talk about how Brady and the Bucs could repeat as champions. And you might want to listen to me because I actually had the Bucs beating the Chiefs in my Super Bowl predictions last offseason. We can just ignore how I had the Cowboys in the playoffs. Alright, so the salary cap is projected to be around $185 million. The Bucs would have around $20 million in space. And if you look at their top-heavy list of free agents, you'd know that isn't gonna cut it. The top guys on that list are Levante David, Chris Godwin, and Shaq Barrett. After that, you've got key players like Ndamukong Suh, Gronk, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, and kicker Ryan Suckup. Of course, like every team, there will be plenty of shuffling lower down on the depth chart as well. My point is the Bucs will have to do some contract maneuverings if they even want half those guys back. And once again, we're brought back to Tom Brady. The Bucs will most likely extend Brady's contract to save cap space for this year during their win now period. That'll affect them down the line, but this is typical stuff contenders do. Mike Evans has previously been willing to restructure his contract and seems very willing to do it again. Tampa can do the same thing on the O-line with Ali Marpet, and if you were to have asked me in the middle of last season about Donovan Smith's $14 million non-guaranteed salary in 2021, I would have said, that's an easy cut. But boy, Smith did turn it around in the playoffs. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it makes sense to keep continuity on a line that just won a Super Bowl and keep Smith on that contract. Gronk and AB are likely to give the team Brady discounts, and with Gronk coming back, I think it's pretty likely they trade either OJ Howard or Cam Brate. With 3 starting caliber players at one position, the money just has to go somewhere else. And maybe the first thing the team should do is franchise tag Godwin at $16 million, because he'd get even more than that on the open market. So even if you think the wide receiver depth is good enough to lose a stud like him, then you could at least tag and trade him. But I think they almost certainly want him back on the tag. Speaking of wide receiver depth, Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson can be enough of a replacement for AB. So if a team like the Seahawks, who are desperate to keep Russell Wilson happy, go ahead and offer AB a contract the Bucs can't match, it wouldn't be ideal, but you gotta take your losses where they hurt least. And even still, Brown may only want to play with Brady. Finally, I think bringing back David, Barrett, and Suckup is pretty much necessary. Fournette is as good as gone in my opinion, and they'll have to hope Suh is willing to play for a cheap one-year deal. If the Bucs are able to figure out this puzzle, then they'll be right back at it next year in a weaker division, and we'll have more time for Brady to gel with the offense, along with a fast improving young secondary. No team has been able to repeat since Brady's early Patriot days, but hey, if there's a man able to do it not once but twice, it's the one who will be 44 years old with even more left to prove.